sorry, my video messed up. In a way that really sets up for organization, planning, and going back to being reflective. It allows us to go back and reflect on what we've done. Really clear notes are important as you do things. Make notes of something that didn't work. Make notes if every student failed this test. That way we can go back and fix those things. Okay, the next one is these are examples of programs that are already in service. So there's one that is My Teaching Partner, and that is a classroom-based. So it's based on instruction and information such as that. What are we teaching? How are the classes taking that information? Are we getting them the information that they need based on the curriculum? Are the classes engaged? Is the learning rigorous? And then links to learning. This is the counselor-based model, and so it's going to look at, are we meeting their needs emotionally and mentally? Are we making sure that we're approaching students from all aspects? Because a lot of times this emotional or counselor need can overshadow the academic performance, and so we always want to make sure that we are in collaboration, because a student may be acting out in your class, but it may have nothing to do with academic ability or a want to learn. A lot of times those students are labeled as bad, or that they just don't want to be here, and they may even tell you that, but there may be something else there that is causing that reaction. That may be a counseling session or a couple, or even a group session where they could find other students that were more like them, would help them understand. Okay, so I just really like this quote. School counselors can be an excellent resource in assisting teachers in dealing with difficult students. While school counselors do not have magic wands, they are trained to address issues outside of the realm of the classroom teacher. Absolutely, I'm not a magician. Neither are our teachers. We shouldn't expect either one to just magically fix things. Again, that's where the team effort comes into play, and we all have specific qualities and that we are specialized in, that we bring to the table, that are important. It doesn't mean a counselor is more important than a teacher, or a teacher is more important than a counselor. It's a team effort. And I just love the way, I also really liked the assisting, because that's what we're here to do. A lot of times we get caught up in paperwork, and we get caught up in the testing and different things like that, but our true job is to assist you, the teacher, and the student in whatever way we physically can. It could look like a session, but it could look like sending the student out for outside counseling because we can't give them what they need. Because again, while I can absolutely counsel you, and we can do a consultation about what's going on, or I can do a consultation with a student or their parent or administration, anything long-term would need to be sent outside the school, because that's not what we're equipped for. And so that's what we want to make sure, that we're all using each other in the appropriate way, and making sure that we're all working together to bridge that gap and just really help our students. Because I talk about academic performance, but really isn't our goal for them to be life successful? I mean, I think that's really the end goal, and to find their path. And so I think that is really, academic performance will come if we're focused on that future, building that future, creating that plan. Again, going back to creating that plan. It's so important. Okay, perceptions. And this is important because a lot of times consultation and collaboration can, one, seem scary. Two, people just feel like, I don't have time for this. We're busy. I mean, everybody's busy. And so there are a lot of perceptions, misconceptions related to consultation and collaboration that I kind of just want to go through and debunk. Most teachers feel like going through the consultation and collaboration process help them improve relationships and their own well-being. So if that is something as a counselor that I can help with, it's not just about the student, because your well-being as a teacher is just as important in that classroom as that student's well-being. And so that's what we never want to disregard, the emotional aspect of our day-to-day. And they feel like there should be more focus on collaboration. This is where you might find your PLCs, so professional learning communities, and they can be within departments, and that way you share. It's not about hiding everything and keeping everything in your classroom. Maybe you have standardized tests throughout your department. Everybody gives the same test. That makes it easier to track data. Why did this class outperform this class? What do we know about those students? What can we do differently? Because obviously we met the needs of these students, but we didn't meet the needs of those students. And that's not a teacher issue. Again, it is a team effort. And that is a fear of teachers sometimes, is that, again, we go back to that co-equal. A lot of times they feel like it's not a co-equal and that they're being told they've done something wrong. And that is never what consultation and collaboration should be. It is a give and take, because we all play a part. And out of the counselor program components, teachers rank collaboration as a top priority, so that's huge. We all see the need for it. We just need to make time for it, and that's where I think administration can come in and parents can come in, and we can help make that time, whether it be during the school day or maybe retreats or things that fit into our schedules and our lifestyle, and to really increase that collaboration and that team building. And we're gonna go into some team building in a little bit. It's gonna be super fun. Okay, so the counselor feels collaboration is necessary to create a productive environment. And that's essentially what I've talked about this entire time, is creating that productive environment. But that productive environment has so many facets. Like I said, the student needs to be productive, but then the instructor needs to be productive. And if they feel like they are bogged down by constant issues in the classroom, how can you get the material across? How can you even serve the needs of that top student that doesn't even need a lot of instruction from you if you can't even get the instruction out because Sally over here keeps cussing at you? And we don't know what's wrong with Sally, but Sally needs to be taken out, brought to the counselor, and that way to have that conversation to see what's going on. And it may become an administrative issue. Again, that's another piece of the collaboration. It may come to me first as a counselor, and then I'm like, this is more behavioral. This is something that she really shouldn't have been doing. She knew what she was doing wrong. She needs to be reprimanded. But it could be that we find that maybe she needs some psychological services. Maybe she needs some testing. And something we can service out and kind of help her feel more in control of her life. Because I think we all know as adults how much we struggle when we feel out of control. For students, hormonal changes and home life, it can make it even scarier. And so that's, that can be a cause of why they act the way they do. Collaboration brings to school what is necessary for true growth. You can't grow without collaboration, because you will never see, not the problems, but you'll never see where you could do better. And we can all always do better. Students can always learn more. We can always get more information. There's always something we can do. A student is never lost. I think that's important. They are never lost, no matter how much they may challenge us, and we know they do, but they're never lost. Perceived problems. Lack of knowledge regarding roles, and that's kind of one of the things about today, kind of discussing what this should look like. We talk about having that agenda, because none of us want our time wasted. You don't want to go into a meeting and it lasts 8 hours when it's supposed to last 30 minutes, unless it's a really great discussion, and you're all on board with staying forever. But we also have to respect each other's lives, and I think that's important, having that respect. But understanding what should come to the counselor, what should be handled in classroom, and what strategies you can use in the classroom to engage students and not promote that negative behavior. What should then be sent to administration? When do they cross that line? What is that line? When does it even bypass the counselor and no longer call for direct collaboration and consultation and go straight to administration? Those are things where we would collaborate and consult with each other beforehand so we could all be on the same page. Going into the same page, conflicting goals. We all have to have the same goal. Now, it can look a little bit different for each of us, but they all have to be the same. We have to all be on board we have to buy in. We have to buy in. And so that's really important. And then lack of follow through. You know, a lot of times, and I think we've all been guilty of this at one time or another, we have this great idea, we're super excited, and then we start it, and then we're just like, oh, I don't feel like doing this anymore. Again, collaboration and consultation is a consistent, reflective process. So you consistently have to go back and have those discussions. It's not a one-shot deal. It is you meet monthly. Sometimes you may have to meet weekly to make sure that you're meeting those goals. It is being willing to go through the data and put it in a way that is understandable for everybody, because we all think differently, just like our students do. So we have to have it in multiple formats so that way everybody's on the same page, everybody understands what the goal is, how are we gonna reach that goal, what are our steps, what is each person's role, and what are implementation strategies that we can use. Okay. Goals and desired outcomes. Again, a shared vision on improvement on collaboration within school framework. Improve teacher instructional implementation practices. This is, again, we're not saying that the teachers are doing anything wrong, but if we can improve and make it easier and more seamless for you as a teacher or me as a counselor, why not? Take some of the load off of both of us and make it easier. Instruction that promotes higher student achievement, so more rigorous, and not just that, not where we leave students behind, but more rigorous where they can ask questions, you know, they feel comfortable, and so they are more likely to gain that higher level understanding. Increased reflection, being willing to examine ourselves, being open to observations from peers, so we get an outside perspective. That's very important. And data-driven results. We need to look at the data. We need to have data to show where are our successes, where do we need more work, where are we missing the mark, and what can we implement, what can we change to alter that. Okay, implementation. This is the process. This is how we would go about it. In the beginning, especially the determined areas of concern, this can be done separately. And I actually suggest that everybody kind of bring their own areas of concern in, because then everybody kind of gets their ideas heard. And then I think as a group, you discuss and you look at data and you determine, say you have 20 areas of concern. That's a lot. I mean, it just is. And that may feel a little overwhelming. So maybe you pick, for this year, you pick 3 to 5. We're gonna tackle these this year. And next year we're gonna jump, if we are successful, we're gonna jump into the next 5. So break it down. Brainstorm those possible changes. Be open, be kind. Even if you have to do it anonymously, where people put it on sticky notes and put it up on boards. Maybe have boards across in different places in the room listed with concerns, possible suggestions, things like that, where people can just, as they think of them, can put them up, and then we can come back together. Create an intervention strategy that works in some way for everyone. It may be somewhat loose and leave some leeway, because you may have different programs, you may have different learning levels, you may have different courses. And so it may be, for some it may be a broad intervention strategy for those classes that are very similar, or for administration purposes, those may be more concrete and have less leeway. And so you may have multiple things kind of going on in different levels of flexibility, depending on what you're looking at. Continuously collect and analyze data. Our programs, when you grade tests, they all go into a system. That data is there. We just have to be willing to go look at it and kind of work to decipher what it means for us. And then review and determine viability of intervention. Again, you always have to come back. You can't just implement and be like, oh, I did it, I'm done. It doesn't work like that. We have to be sure that it worked. And what is our standard of worked? You know, that's what we need to determine. What means success and what means we need to do a little bit more work. And so that would be something we would need to determine. And then review it to see if we met that mark. Okay, so now we're going to do our activity. So we're going to play a game in groups called Save the Egg. We're actually going to do it twice, so everybody get excited. We're going to drop an egg, an uncooked egg. Obviously, we're going to go outside, and it's a nice day, so it'll be fine. We're going to drop it from 2 different heights. And each group, we're going to break you up into groups of 2 to 3. And we're going to drop it, 5 feet. The first way we're going to do it is we're going to create a structure that would protect the egg once dropped. So something on the ground. So 5 feet below, and you're going to get only specific tools. We're going to have some pipe cleaners, we're going to have some toilet paper, and so a couple different things, and that's all. What you have is all you can use. Then we're going to do it again, same materials, but you're going to have to create a structure that would safely guide an egg from the starting point to the floor without causing the egg to break. So we're going to work together, and what I want you, and this should be collaborative. One person should not dominate the discussion. If you feel like there's a problem, speak up. You all don't know each other very well because it's the beginning of the year, but this is a way to kind of get to know each other and kind of see where our strengths lie. Because you may have somebody that initially doesn't talk a whole lot, but as they get into it, they're like, all of a sudden, all these ideas start flowing. That could be a student in your class that initially they just sit there and stare at you because they need time to process. Whereas once they've processed, they're going to be all over it, and they're going to be the one raising their hand, and they're going to be the one all engaged in the discussion and the instruction. So that's kind of, I want you to kind of look at each other and look at yourself. Where do you fall, and what does that student look like in your classroom? So we're looking at it from 2 different ways. We're going to learn to collaborate, we're going to work together, we're going to not break our egg, but we're also going to reflect at the end, what does this student look like in our classroom? What would they do initially? What would they do if they never felt comfortable? What would the difference be if they felt comfortable and they felt that relationship that we want to build with them? And so I think that's what, that's the goal. So any questions? All right. So we're going to go ahead and break up. We're going to go outside and we're going to get started. Let's go.